Has Bangladesh truly abandoned the J-10C in favor of the Typhoon? Behind this sudden letter of intent lies either a fundamental shift in South Asia's aerial power dynamics or an unfinished chess game, where geopolitics and economic realities pull in opposite directions. As Indian media jubilantly proclaimed Bangladesh had signed an MOU with Italy's Leonardo for Typhoon fighters, hyping it as South Asia's largest ever Air Force modernization initiative, the covert battle over this advanced fighter order truly unveiled its complex strategic dynamics. On the surface, this appears to be a bitter setback for China's J-10C fighter jet, a last-minute reversal by a key client. Yet, if we look beyond the deliberately sensationalized headlines and examine Bangladesh's international pressures, its strained fiscal situation, and the genuine needs of its Air Force modernization, we find that countless formidable hurdles stand between this letter of intent and its final realization. The J-10C's chances are far from sealed. Modern high-end arms trade has never been merely a simple comparison of performance data or a straightforward transaction of goods on the shelf. At its core, it is a high-stakes international game deeply intertwined with geopolitical strategy, political alignment, economic ties, and technological system choices. The report by India's Asia Defense and Security deliberately sidestepped direct comparisons of fighter performance, instead zeroing in on the core geopolitical motive, Bangladesh's intent to balance power. Amid growing global uncertainty and the looming specter of bloc confrontation, Bangladesh's anxieties are palpable. As a middle-sized nation long reliant on Chinese and Russian weaponry, while maintaining intricate ties with the Western world, it faces a dual challenge. It requires advanced weaponry to modernize its aging fleet and address potential regional security challenges, particularly maintaining minimal deterrence and self-defense capabilities against its vastly superior neighbor India. Simultaneously, Bangladesh urgently needs to carefully preserve strategic autonomy amid great power competition, avoiding excessive reliance on any single source to secure greater diplomatic maneuverability. Thus, extending an olive branch to Europe regarding the Typhoon fighter jets can be interpreted as a proactive signal. Dhaka seeks to broaden Western options in military cooperation as a strategic hedge to balance risks and relationships. This approach of not putting all eggs in one basket embodies the survival wisdom of small and medium-sized nations navigating the realities of international political realism. However, an LOI is merely a document expressing interest and preliminary intent to cooperate. The gap between it and a legally binding formal procurement contract is as vast as a chasm. Military trade history is littered with cases where LOIs, or even formal contracts, ultimately fell through, due to constraints ranging from budgetary bombshells and political interference to failed technology transfer negotiations and sudden shifts in the international landscape. For Bangladesh, the chain reaction and formidable challenges that selecting the Typhoon fighter jet would trigger may far exceed the initial estimates of Dhaka's current decision-makers. Foremost among these is the daunting economic calculation. The Typhoon, a cutting-edge fourth-and-a-half-generation fighter, jointly developed by 4 European nations, has always commanded a high unit price. It is widely believed that its export price exceeds $200 million, excluding the costs of accompanying weapon systems, training, maintenance support, and necessary infrastructure upgrades. In contrast, the J-10C, another highly capable fourth-and-a-half-generation fighter, offers significantly greater price competitiveness and market flexibility while maintaining exceptional performance. Bangladesh is not a Gulf oil-rich nation. Its national economy is limited, and its defense budget is not generous. Procuring a single squadron of Typhoon fighters could potentially exhaust its Air Force's modernization budget for years, severely squeezing the space for other military branches and projects, raising serious questions about fiscal sustainability. Second, the more challenging issue lies in integrating operational systems. Over the years, the Bangladesh Armed Forces, particularly its naval and air branches, have acquired numerous Chinese-made assets such as frigates, patrol aircraft, trainer jets, and air defense systems. In practical operations, training, command communications, and data link protocols, these units have gradually adapted and integrated into an operational framework predominantly based on Chinese standards. Should the J-10C be introduced, it could integrate relatively smoothly into this evolving architecture, enabling seamless combat capability development and maximizing operational efficiency. Conversely, adopting the Typhoon, a pure NATO standard fighter, would require the Bangladesh Air Force to establish entirely new, independent systems for logistics support, maintenance, training exercises, and even command and control from scratch. This is not merely about purchasing aircraft. It would necessitate rebuilding half the Air Force's foundational systems, coexisting equipment systems of different origins, and standards would complicate logistics chains, double costs, and create unpredictable data sharing and coordination challenges during joint combat operations. Ultimately, this could lead to a situation where the combined combat effectiveness is less than the sum of its parts. Moreover, while Indian media jubilantly report this development, they seem to overlook a fundamental strategic paradox. They emphasize how the Typhoon's deployment will alter the air power balance in the Bay of Bengal region, yet deliberately or inadvertently avoid addressing who Bangladesh's primary target is in pursuing Air Force modernization. Whether viewed through the lens of historical entanglements, ongoing territorial disputes, or comprehensive national power comparisons, India remains Bangladesh's most immediate and significant strategic concern. Thus, the fact that an aircraft procurement decision, intended to counter Indian aerial threats, is met with such enthusiastic welcome and interpretation by Indian media carries profound implications. Would India prefer its neighbor to equip the expensive, systemically fragmented Typhoon, potentially locking it into long-term constraints on upgrades and munitions supply, or would it fear the highly cost-effective J-10C, which integrates rapidly with existing systems and boasts a relatively independent supply chain? The answer is self-evident. From this perspective, the Indian media's high-profile coverage may, to some extent, ironically underscore that the J-10C represents a more threatening and less desirable option for New Delhi. Of course, we need not diminish the Typhoon's own outstanding capabilities. As a fourth-and-a-half-generation fighter emphasizing beyond visual range air combat while maintaining multi-role capabilities, its technological level undoubtedly ranks among the world's top tier. Leonardo's existing cooperation with Bangladesh in helicopters and drones does offer some negotiation advantages. Yet, as its less than stellar combat record in Yemen suggests, any weapon's true effectiveness hinges on system support, tactical application, and political context. For Bangladesh, selecting the Typhoon resembles a luxury gamble, a political gesture signaling alignment with the West, yet burdened by economically unsustainable costs and significant uncertainties in system integration. Therefore, asserting that the J-10C has completely lost the Bangladeshi market is undoubtedly a hasty and simplistic conclusion. The signing of this letter of intent is more likely the starting point of a complex negotiation strategy, not its conclusion. Bangladesh could well leverage this letter to negotiate with other competing vendors, seeking more favorable terms, more flexible technology transfers, or payment arrangements. Modern arms negotiations are protracted. It is common for the process from letter of intent to contract to take 3 to 5 years or even longer. During this period, regional dynamics, major power relations, Bangladesh's domestic economic conditions, and the military's actual assessments may all evolve. The J-10C's export journey has only just begun. With its outstanding cost-performance ratio, comprehensive system solutions, and supply reliability free from third-party political coercion, it retains powerful and unique appeal in the global arms market, particularly for nations seeking substantial air defense enhancements within constrained budgets while prioritizing strategic autonomy. The competition for fighter jet orders over South Asia is far from over, and the real drama may yet unfold. For observers tracking China's high-end equipment exports and international defense dynamics, what is needed is not anxiety over short-term gains or losses, but patience and resolve to see through the fog.